I wish I had studied more languages. All right, so when you want to use wish, think, is it present, is it past? And then choose the correct grammar form. Great. So I wish I had met you earlier. We could have done a lot of language together. But I look forward to seeing you next lesson. Okay? Bye.
Good morning and welcome to this week's edition of Music World. And welcome to Tony Moore, our music expert.
Hello, Lucy. And good morning to all our music fans.
Well, Tony, on May 16th, 2006, a Stradivari violin was sold at auction in New York for $3.5 million. The Christian Hammer violin, as it's called, had become the world's most expensive musical instrument. So why is this violin so special?
Well, this violin was made in 1707 by Antonio Stradivari in the family workshop in Cremona, near Milan in northern Italy. The years 1700 to 1720 are called Stradivari's golden period because of the exceptional sound quality of the instruments he made during this time.
So why is the sound quality so good?
Oh, good question, Lucy. During this period, Stradivari came up with some tiny improvements to the shape of the violin. Experts think that these changes to the shape of the violin, particularly to the shape of the belly and the back plate, may in part be responsible for their incredible sound quality.
So it's the shape of the violins that makes them so sought after by the world's best musicians.
Yes, but not only the shape. You know, the wood Stradivari used to make his violins may have been stored underwater in the Venice lagoon before he bought it. It's thought that this may have damaged the wood slightly and may in part be responsible for the special sound.
So the shape and wood that was stored in the lagoon in Venice is why Stradivari violins are so special.
Well, actually, there are one or two other possible explanations.
Tell us more.
Some music historians say that the varnish Stradivari used may be behind the exceptional sound quality. Others say the secret is in the glue he used. And two American scientists have recently suggested that the quality of these violins is due to the cold weather experienced in Europe during the period when the violins were made.
Cold weather and wonderful violins. I don't see the connection, Tony.
Well, you see, Lucy, the colder weather resulted in trees growing more slowly. The wood from these trees was denser than normal and makes a better sound when it's used for making violins.
Interesting. I can see now that everything's perfect about these violins. By the way, who bought the Christian Hammer violin?
We don't know, actually. Well, the buyer remained anonymous. He or she is probably a private collector.
And what do you think the new owner will do with this wonderful instrument?
Well, music lovers are hoping that the owner will allow the world's best violinist to play the instrument at concerts around the world. This has already happened in the past, with this violin too. Its previous owner allowed Yehudi Menuhin to play the Christian Hammer 15 times.
So we'll be able to listen to its glorious sound again. Well, Tony, thanks for a fascinating programme.
Goodbye.
Goodbye. And of course, goodbye to all music lovers. We'll meet again soon for another edition of Music World. Wow, I never thought a violin could be so expensive. Of course, we're talking about a very special violin. The violin is what we call a string instrument. A violinist is a musician who plays the violin and he or she uses a bow. A bow is a long wooden rod with horsehairs used for playing string instruments. The violin we spoke about today was sold at an auction for a lot of money. An auction is a public sale, a place where people bid against each other to buy something. To bid means to offer a price. You can buy almost anything at an auction: houses, furniture, paintings, instruments. The buyer of this Stradivari violin remained anonymous. To remain anonymous means to keep your identity secret. The owner of the Stradivari is probably a private collector. A private collector is a person who collects things for their own enjoyment. The Stradivari was made in a workshop. A workshop is a place where craftsmen make things. A craftsman is like an artisan. Well, as we heard, it's a violin with incredible sound quality. The quality of the sound is excellent. One reason could be its shape. The shape of something is its physical form. The belly of the violin is the part under the strings. We also have bellies. Your belly is this part of our body. And the back plate of the violin is the part at the back. Again, we also have backs. Your back is this part of your body. So, it's one of the most sought-after instruments in the world. If something is sought after, it means many people would like to have it. Well, I'd like to have the $3.5 million. That's all we have time for this week. Take care, and I'll see you again soon.
Good morning. Welcome to this week's edition of Climate Change. In the studio with me is our expert, Susan Furley.
Hello, Eric, and good morning, everyone.
Well, Susan, let's talk about the weather in Scotland today. You know, I'm planning to visit the West Coast this summer, and I really don't know what kind of clothes to take with me. It's cold there, isn't it?
Not really. Take your swimming costume, a beach towel, and some suntan cream.
You're joking, aren't you?
Not at all. The west coast of Scotland has beautiful islands and lochs and gardens full of tropical plants.
Really?
Yes, they're full of tropical plants.
Tropical plants in Scotland. How is that possible?
It's thanks to the Gulf Stream. You know, it's one of the world's most important ocean currents. It carries large amounts of warm seawater from the Caribbean Sea to the northwest of Europe. This warm water brings about an increase in the temperature here of about 9 degrees centigrade. Without it, the weather in Great Britain would be a lot colder.
I thought it was cold. So, the west coast of Scotland is a tropical paradise? That's fantastic.
Well, let's not exaggerate. There are tropical plants, but it's not exactly like the Caribbean, though the winters are very mild here. At least, they are for the moment. Since 1950, scientists have noticed that the flows of cold water in the North Atlantic that are associated with the Gulf Stream have decreased by 20%. We're not talking about the Gulf Stream here, but this change could slow down the Gulf Stream itself.
And what's behind this change in the North Atlantic?
Well, the water in the world's oceans and seas is constantly moving. The speed and direction of these movements of water are controlled by different factors, such as the shape of the ocean floor, the salinity of the water, and the Earth's rotation. Well, scientists have noticed that the ice sheets of the North Pole and Greenland are melting due to the greenhouse effect. This is reducing the salinity of the water in the North Atlantic and is reducing the flows of cold water that help the Gulf Stream bring warm water to Western Europe.
So, are you saying that the seawater and the temperature in Great Britain could become colder?
Yes. This has already happened in the past. Scientists have discovered that the Gulf Stream slowed down or maybe even stopped completely about 11,000 years ago. This brought about a fall in the temperatures in Northern Europe of 5 degrees.
And could the same thing happen again now?
Yes. Scientists fear that a knock-on effect of the salinity reduction may be the slowing down of the Gulf Stream again.
And what would the effects of this be?
The worst predictions suggest there could be a new ice age in Great Britain.
Wow, that sounds frightening. Well, perhaps Great Britain will become a new center for the winter sports. Perhaps the Winter Olympic Games will take place in Scotland. We'll have to wait and see. Thanks to Susan Furley.
Goodbye, Eric.
Goodbye, Susan. And goodbye, everyone. Well, Apparently, I should take my swimming costume and beach towel and some suntan cream to Scotland. A swimming costume is what we wear to go swimming. A towel is what we use to dry ourselves. And a beach towel is a big towel for the beach. Suntan cream, sometimes called suntan lotion, is the cream we use to protect ourselves from the sun. I thought Scotland was a cold country, but actually the winters are even very mild. Mild means not very cold. Susan explained that this is thanks to the Gulf Stream, which is an important ocean current. An ocean current is a movement of seawater. Seawater is a compound noun that means the water of the sea. The Gulf Stream brings warm seawater from the Caribbean, and this brings about an increase in temperature. To bring about is a phrasal verb. It means to make something happen. But the flows of cold water have decreased. When water moves, we say it flows. So a flow of cold water is the movement of cold water. The Gulf Stream could slow down. To slow down means to become slower. What is behind these changes? This means, what is the reason for these changes? Well, the ice sheets in the North Pole are melting. An ice sheet is a layer of ice, also a compound noun. When ice melts, it becomes water. This is a reducing the salinity of the water. The salinity is the amount of salt it contains. It is also reducing the flows of cold water that helps the Gulf Stream bring warm water to Europe. This could bring about a fall in temperature. A fall is a decrease. We call this is a knock-on effect. A knock-on effect is an effect of something happening. We've run out of time again, so I'll say goodbye and see you soon.
Now let's watch the whole episode together. Watch the subtitles carefully because the language points that we studied together are highlighted. All right? Enjoy your viewing. Hi, and welcome back to English Today. This is DVD 16 and the fourth DVD of your upper intermediate level. And in this DVD, we'll begin with another 2 episodes of our story, That's Life, followed by our special TV programs where our music expert will be talking about the world's most expensive violin. And then our weather expert will be looking at the possibility of a new ice age in England. Then in the grammar section, we'll learn how to use the third conditional form in English, which is not easy. And then we'll be looking at how to make sentences using the verb wish to express a regret. So, enjoy yourselves. Hello again, and in this lesson we're going to learn what is probably the most difficult English language construction, the third conditional. Let me give you an example. If I'd known, I wouldn't have gone. If I had known, I wouldn't have gone. Now that's difficult, and we'll study it together after. But first our story. It's morning. Sarah's in the kitchen eating breakfast, and Michel joins her.
Good morning, Sarah. Have you seen what a beautiful day it is? How about a walk in the countryside and then we can relax by the pool?
I don't really feel like going out. I'd rather stay in and read.
Oh, come on, Sarah. Don't be your usual antisocial self. Let's have some fun together. Why don't we play a trick on the guys who are still asleep? We could wake them up with a nice bucket of cold water.
What a stupid trick.
Nothing's changed, but I still love you truly. Beautiful girl with brown eyes, dusting away my heart's sighs.
That's all we needed.
Oh, you don't understand, Sarah. This is poetry. This is the story of a secret love.
Poetry, love, tricks. Enough of this nonsense. If I'd known you were all going to be so amusing, I never would have organized this reunion.
Beautiful girl.